Now that we've entered all the transactions into the ledgers individually, we now need to balance them to figure out their totals. So we'll start with cash at bank. Remember, we need to balance any ledger with more than one entry in it. So cash at bank can be a tricky one because it can have a debit or a credit balance. So the first thing we're going to do is add up both sides and figure out which side's bigger. So I'm going to go and add up all the debits here and figure out what that total is. I'm then going to go and add up all the credits on this side and figure out what the total is, and in doing that I'll see that the bigger total is actually the debit side of 58,640. I see I've left a line. I'll now put that on the other side, the credit side, and what I'll do now is subtract away these numbers on the credit side from 58,640, and if I do that I'll get the total of 26,280. I need to make sure in doing that I write the last day of the period as my date, and I write the word balance as well. So in this case the end of the period was the 6th of May, which is a bit odd, but that was the date we were given. What we need to make sure we do is then transfer that down to the next period, and we'll make sure we do that with the date of the next period is the first day, which in this case was the 7th of May. Looking at capital, it doesn't need to be balanced, there's only one entry. Looking at office furniture, it doesn't need to be balanced either. So we'll look at creditors. So creditors are a liability, they're always going to have a credit balance. So in this case we've got a total on the credit side of 33,220. We put that on the debit side as well. We'll then go and subtract away the $2,000 here, and that'll give us a total of 31,220, and we'll carry that balance down on the first day of next period. Shop fittings don't need to be balanced. GST does. You can see there's quite a few entries in there, and again it's a ledger like cash that can have a debit or credit balance. So to do an accurate job of that, it's safest to add up both sides. So I'm going to add up all those numbers, and then I'm going to add up all those numbers. Now whichever side has the biggest total, which in this case is the debits, I'm going to write the total down the bottom there in red. I'll then transfer that total over, and then I will subtract away the credit figures there from 5,780, and that'll give me a total of 4,060. Carry that balance down. This GST account has a debit balance, so therefore it's actually going to be an asset, and the government's going to owe us money. We've got rent, which doesn't need to be balanced. We have stock. So stock's an asset. It's always going to have a debit balance, so the debits will be the bigger side. I'll write that on the credit side as well. I'll then subtract away these numbers here and take them away from 29,000. I'll get 19,800, and I'll carry that debit down on the first day of next period. Sales, all the numbers are on one side. We're still going to add it up for now. So we'll add up 17,200. We'll still put it on the other side. And just to be thorough, we'll go through our balancing procedure, even though we do know what the balance is, quite obviously. We still want to be quite thorough and carry that down on the first day of next period. Leaves cost of sales, a bit like sales. It's obvious that the one side's going to have all the figures, but again we still do want to balance that and be thorough and just go through the procedure. That leaves advertising and debtors, and both of those only have one entry, so no balancing is required.